Today you're going to make a Flextangle. It'll look a little bit like this. It's a three-dimensional object that will rotate and create different designs. This is what the template looks like, but I'm going to have you draw your own template. So you'll need a ruler and a piece of paper. We're going to begin at the top edge of the paper, the long end, and you're going to measure out 1.5 inch marks 6 times. So 1.5 inches, 6 times a little mark right on the edge of the paper. Then slide your ruler down about 3 inches and repeat the same thing. Make sure you've lined your ruler up with the edge of your paper on the left side so that it isn't hanging over. You don't want your marks to be off. And now we should have 2 rows of dots. Take your straight edge, line up the dots, and make a straight line. You don't have to worry about them as measurements yet. We're just creating the lines, and they'll be 1.5 inches apart. They should be nice parallel sections. It'll look a little bit like this. Now we're going to begin measuring on the left hand upper corner. Put your ruler at 3 inches on the right hand side, which was the top. Measure down 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches. Slide it down to the first line, and this time we're going to begin by measuring 3/4 of an inch. So 3/4 of an inch on the line, make a little mark. Now move your ruler down to put the 3 on the 3/4 inch mark. Measure 1.5, 1.5. Put it on the 3, mark it at 1.5 and at 1.5. Come down again. Start with your 3/4 inches, make a mark, and then put the 3 inch mark on that 3/4 mark. Measure 1.5 and 1.5. Repeat that again for the last section. It will look like this with a series of staggered marks. You should be able to lay your ruler down. Looking at our paper, we're going to begin with the lowest right hand mark, which is on the 5th line. You should be able to line up your dots with the ruler. If they don't line up, you know that something is wrong. You're creating diagonal lines. Refer back to the template if you need to have a quicker sense of it, but your objective is to make a series of parallel angled lines that correspond to the dots. When you've done that direction, turn your ruler and complete the same series of lines. Make sure you're aligning all of the marks that you made all the way to the edge of the paper. When you're complete, you're going to have something that looks like this. Make a couple of little marks. We're going to draw some tabs for the end. You can just kind of eyeball this. It doesn't have to be anything perfect. About 1/4 inch is fine. Just make a little mark for each of the tabs. And then this is your template. Cut around the outside of the shape. Don't cut into the center of the template. You want to make sure you're right on the lines. Take your time, be precise, make sure you cut out the tabs. Now we're going to begin with the design. You don't need the top 6 little triangles, so I've just marked those out. The first row is an A. All of those designs should be the same. B should be the same, C and D. This is what you should have. Now we're going to begin folding. You want to put a crease in each of the lines that you originally drew. That means both directions, so turn your paper so you get each of the angled lines that you made, and then make sure you folded it the opposite way. Set a good crease in here, because if the creases are set nicely now, it will be a lot easier to turn this into a three-dimensional object that works. This is what it'll look like initially. Now you're going to do vertical lines. So each of the vertical lines that you drew, and it needs to go both ways. So you want this crease to be very flexible. It really helps to have it be folded so that the colored portion is pressed together good. I like to turn it so that I can see the line that I drew first, and then I fold it backwards on itself. You can see that those creases are pretty heavy, even though they're similar to the first creases. They really do need to be pressed in firmly. And don't forget at the end to do your tabs. Now we're going to try to put it together. It'll look like this initially. Take the center and just press it in and lay the triangle on top. You can see how easily they fit together. That's how it should look. They should automatically conform to one another. Now you need some glue. Put a little bit of glue in between. Don't overdo it. When you've been able to glue all the pieces, hold them until they're tight. You want this to be hooked together really well. Even the end flap should be glued together. You're going to insert that little set of tabs into the gap with glue on them and hold them. Hold them firmly until they're set. That might take a while, but that's how you make sure you end up with this. As you begin to turn it, go slowly at first. Press in the creases with your thumbs if you need to. Take your time with the first few turns. That will make sure that nothing rips or tears, and it'll become a little more flexible as you use it. Good job!